Hello, hello. Welcome to our weekly webinar. My name is Blaine Wright, acquisition executive for motel to apartments conversions. So hopefully everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend, had a happy Thanksgiving, wherever you may be. So we're happy to be here today. So we're going to go over our buy box. So just a little bit about us. We've been in business about give or take 4.5 years. We're on our 5th project. Currently working on a project in Brownsville, Texas. We're about 50 to 60% the way through. So pardon me, got a little bit of a cold. So we've been working on that. And yeah, so we're just progressing, looking for our next opportunity here in 2025 coming up. And so we're going to go through, kind of show you what we look for, why we look for it, and kind of go through the process of what we're looking for. And then it's an opportunity then as well. If you are a owner, if you're a broker or an agent, maybe you have a deal in your pipeline that might be a fit for what we do. So that's why we do this webinar, so we can introduce ourselves to everyone out there, and to be able to talk to people about their assets that they have, and to see if maybe we can definitely be a fit for what we do here. So I'm going to share my screen here. So just give me one moment here. Okay. All right. So this is just basically going over our premise of a buy box for what we're looking for. Sorry about that. Went too fast. So we talk a little bit about our target markets. So we've done the majority of our deals in Texas and Arizona. Those are the 2 places that we've done our deals, what we're most familiar with. I'm actually based in the Phoenix, Arizona area. And we're also familiar with the Southeast. So different states, North Carolina, Charlotte, Raleigh, Nashville, Tennessee, Florida, Miami, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Georgia is another area that we would look. And people ask, well, why those markets? Well, number one, all of these markets have really good growth patterns. Arizona, for an example, the Phoenix metro area is actually the fastest growing county in the country. Hundreds of thousands of people relocate to the Phoenix metro area every year. So that's just an example of why we're targeting these markets. We like Sunbelt markets. They're more economically friendly, less restrictive on doing a redevelopment in most cases than, say, the Northeast would be. And people are just migrating south, whether it's the Southwest, whether it's the Southeast, whether it's Texas. Just by all of the metrics that we look at, this is where the population's heading. And so then there's a need for housing. So there's need for especially more affordable housing, or introductory housing, or flexible living options, transitional housing, etc. So those are the markets that we target. Now, in saying that, doesn't mean we wouldn't look at something in a different market or a different location. If everything aligns, we would definitely take a look for sure. Okay. So what do we look for in a property? So here's some specifications that we look for. We like 1980s or newer. Why? Number one reason is asbestos remediation. If you have to open up walls or anything like that, there's going to be asbestos, and you have to get rid of it. So there's a remediation process that you have to go through. That takes a lot of money. Also takes a lot of time. We're talking, depending on the property, you could have a remediation process of several months, maybe even as much as 9 months, depending on the size and the scope of what you would have to do. So it's very costly, and then it's also not really cost effective. But with that said, it doesn't mean we wouldn't look at a deal. We've looked at deals that were built in the 60s and 70s before, and have purchased properties that were built in the 70s. So not a total deal killer, but obviously that we want to stay away from that if all possible. So our room size. So we have, by I don't know if you want to call it experience or whatnot, but the room size is very important, that it has to be 300 square feet minimum. And the number one question is, well, average hotel room is 250 square feet. Totally understand. But what we're doing is every room, if it's not already equipped, it's going to have a kitchen or kitchenette in it. So that means stovetop. That means sink. That means refrigerator. That means microwave. That might mean washer and dryer, stackables in a unit, if at all possible. So with that being said, that extra 50 square feet is huge. That's basically almost the full size of the kitchenette, is that 50 square feet. So with that being said, 300 square feet is the minimum. Our wheelhouse, our perfect ideal home run scenario, is something that's around 400 square feet, like a suite type property or type room that has some space. That's ideal. Amenities. So with our target being kind of the Sunbelt states, obviously a pool and outdoor space, flexibility is good. That's what people look for. Workout facilities is also a plus. And then flex space, whether that's, some hospitality assets have, a breakfast buffet type area, or flex space in the front, maybe, be able to do office work, maybe be able to host companies coming in to host a meeting, things of that nature. We look for those different flexible amenities. Room count. So we always look for a minimum of 100. Now we would look at sub 100 if all of the demographics and factors that we look for are there. So with that, we would look at something at 75, 80 rooms. Now, what's the difference? Well, the cost to renovate 100 rooms versus something that's 80 or 75, the cost actually to do that, there's not a very large difference, but at the end of the day, you're going to have 25 more rooms. So obviously more rooms, more cash flow, more money you can make. And that's just the reality, just a numbers game for us. Room type, obviously I just talked about the size. We would love an asset that already has a kitchenette in place or plumbing for kitchenette. I see we've looked at several properties that have like wet bars in them. That would be a plus because the plumbing and electric's already in place to put something in. And then building height, obviously, I would say no more than 4 stories. Anything larger than that, more than likely you are going to be in this very urban environment, and that's just not what we do. The city would probably be heavily involved for permitting or maybe rezoning. They might require lots of different hoops to jump through, and so we kind of try to stay away from a skyline type property. So I would say about four stories is what we're looking for, and then we definitely would look for the independent hotelier. The majority of the deals that we have done since we've been in operation have been independent hotel owners looking to move their property. And that's what we were, focused on. Those deals are a little bit easier because we're not dealing with a brand. And then if you're dealing with a brand, then there's what's called liquidated damages that would have to be paid if the property were to be deflagged. And that can be very costly. That could be very time consuming. And oftentimes it could actually ruin a deal, depending on what the liquidated damages are. Those could be upwards of $500,000 or more, depending on the property and depending on what's left on the franchise agreement. Okay, so location preferences as far as in a specific city, we look for healthcare. Obviously, hospitals is a big area of what you need to look for. What we need to look for, people have to have medical care. Also, traveling nurses are a great resource for our product. The people that are coming in for say maybe they are working for 3 to 6 months, something like that. So close proximity to those is definitely a plus. Education, close to a college, university, that's also a plus. Obviously, students would benefit for the type of housing that we would provide. It would work for student type housing. And then retail, we'll obviously look for retailers, major retailers in a specific area. Would like to be within walking distance of some major retailers, if possible, just because a lot of times the people who stay in our properties have sometimes limited transportation. And then with that transportation, I just mentioned, access to public transportation is definitely a bonus. Bus stop, maybe a light rail, train, that sort of thing would be a plus. And then talked about the major retailers. We kind of try to coattail off of them. They've done a lot. They spend thousands and thousands of dollars doing studies and whatnot to make sure that they have the demographic needed to have a successful store or storefront. And Class A retail does a lot of due diligence before they get into a property to make sure that they have enough traffic to be able to have a successful business. Okay. So just talked a little bit more about proximity requirements. 1 to 5 miles for hospitals, 1 to 5 miles, universities, shopping and retail, walking distance if possible. Medical, same thing, 1 to 5 miles. And then we also look for jobs, business complex, industrial complexes. We talked about public transportation within walking distance, if at all possible, 1 to 2 miles. And then major retailers, Costco, Target, Walmart. Like I said, we try to follow their coattails. They've done a lot of the legwork and hard work as far as population centers go. They don't build unless there's a population that's going to meet the demand for their store and what they need to make a profit for their stores. Okay, so acquisition. So we can do cash, and typically with the cash, it's going to be a pretty discounted price. I have people that reach out to me that want cash for retail, and that's just not. We're just not the buyer for that. We're not going to pay full retail cash. If we're going to pay cash, it's going to have to be discounted in order to do so. The number one thing that we do is in our acquisitions is we do seller financing. That is what the majority of our acquisitions are, is creative financing with the seller to create win-win transactions. And the upside for those is, one, we can create terms for both sides. 2, it's a faster transaction. And then 3, there's no lender, no banks, no hoops to jump through from a financing perspective if you're getting a loan from a bank. Now, in saying that, we will consider bank financing, but something that we always tell sellers to keep in mind with this type of project, it's going to need a lot of due diligence and for underwriting, appraisals, so expected and extended escrow if we had to go that route. And then it would also, have to be discounted as well because it's been our experience, the appraisals on a lot of these assets are really conservative. And so, if the appraisals don't line up, it can blow up a deal. We had one last year in Texas where everything was perfect, we lined up perfectly, and then came down to the appraisal, and the appraisal was overly conservative, and it just squashed the deal, unfortunately. So that's why we like seller financings. We don't get into a deal where it gets squashed, spend a lot of money and resources, and only have the bank to squash it. So And then we're open to joint venture. So if someone wants to be a co-general partner and operate while we do renovations, we're open to that venture. Just really depends on the terms, timelines, things of that nature. But if you're an owner and you're maybe open to something like that, we'd like to talk to you. Maybe we could work out a deal and we would be a fit for each other. Okay, so here's our basic approach. So we work to identify properties meeting our criteria and the target markets that we look at. And then we do a long evaluation of the condition, location, and the redevelopment potential of the property. And then we also work to negotiate terms and complete the property acquisition. So we create terms that works for us and the seller. We try to do win-win transactions to where everybody wins, and that's we like to see everybody win. We're not trying to swindle anybody. And then next step after we acquire property, we work on the transformation process. We convert the motel into a desirable, flexible living apartment that someone can live in. So that's our goal. Okay. So if you want to contact us, that phone number is my cell, 623-695-0940. You can email us at info@motelsapartments.com, and then our website, motelsapartments.com. So if you have a deal, you might think you have a deal, send us an email, let us know what you have. The more details you can give us, the easier it is for us to evaluate a given property. If you want to drop us an email at info@motelsapartments.com, we basically have a questionnaire for you to fill out, and then you can submit that to us, and then we can email you back with additional questions that we have. But you guys can check us out at motelsapartments.com. It just kind of gives you an overview of who we are, what we are, where we came from, why we got started, why are we doing what we're doing. So with that, I will, that'll be it for this week. But it was really nice speaking with everybody today. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions, and we'll talk soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Welcome to your new home in McAllen, Texas.
This place used to be totally different. We took 29 motel rooms that were dated. Remember, these were built in the 50s, and we turned them around. We gutted these down to the studs. We replaced the electrical. We replaced the plumbing. We even added gas lines. And now we have a beautiful 29-unit multifamily. So bear with me, there's a lot that we're packaging into this one offer for the resident. In this motel to apartment conversion, we have sewer, water, trash, electric, internet, washer, dryer, dishwasher, microwave, oven, stove, all included for just one monthly fee.
Y no se preocupe, nosotros hablamos español. Go ahead and go to studiosonfourth.com, check out the floor plans that we have available, and submit your information. And just a friendly reminder, we have everything included: sewer, water, trash, electric, utilities, even fiber, high-speed internet. Submit your info and we'll get back to you. Welcome home.